Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. After a resounding 3-1 win in the assembly elections just gone by, Prime Minister Narendra Modi got a standing ovation as he arrived at the BJP Parliamentary meeting today, celebrating the party's triumph. Addressing that meet, the Prime Minister urged MPs to take, quote, Modi ki guarantee message to the masses. A battle cry around which the BJP won these state elections and the pitch around which the BJP is aiming to score the 2024 hat-trick as well. This is the most stunning turnaround in many ways. After Congress's Karnataka win, the Congress guarantee model was sought to be replicated in other states as well for them. During campaigning for the recent state elections, the Prime Minister flipped the Congress message to Modi ki guarantee message, and that message seems to have drowned out the euphoria around the Congress guarantees for now. Another counter message that seems to have worked is the one on caste politics. Prime Minister Narendra Modi once again highlighting in the meeting that there are 4 jatis or castes in the country: women, youth, farmers and the poor. And the need is to empower and uplift them to take India forward to a Viksit or a developed Bharat. And he has also pointed out how several BJP state governments are winning repeat mandates, something very few Congress governments have managed in India's history. So there's the caste battle between the message of the BJP and the Congress party, now a guarantee battle between Narendra Modi and the Congress and others. He also pointed out, just like the BJP state governments are getting repeat mandates, will Prime Minister Narendra Modi also win a historic third term in 2024? And will that be because of this, quote, Modi ki guarantee? We'll take that question to our guest joining us in just a bit. But first up, take a look. The Prime Minister has set the cat amongst the pigeons when he hammered the point that BJP is setting new records with repeat mandates in state elections. According to sources, this is what he said in his address to the BJP MPs today, that the BJP has won 22 out of 39 times when they went into the election as the incumbent. So they won a repeat mandate. That's a strike rate of 56% versus the Congress's rate of just about 17.5, rounded up to 18% in 40 attempts when the Congress has done so. This gets even better for the BJP. The BJP has won a third term, a whopping 59% in their 17 attempts, while the Congress has managed to do so only in one election campaign in 7 attempts. So 7 times when they were the incumbent twice over, and they won a third mandate, while the BJP governments have managed it 10 times already. Remember, for a long period after independence, the BJP wasn't even in power in many state governments. It took them a while to become a national alternative. Another important message from the Prime Minister today, as I said, was the caste agenda, outlining how the agenda is different from the Congress and the larger opposition bloc. Again, something that was hammered quite a bit as far as these elections are concerned, the ones just gone by. So while the Prime Minister has talked about 4 castes, women, youth, farmers and poor, he has talked about how these are the ones that need to be uplifted to take India to a developed vision by 2047. What is the message from Rahul Gandhi? Rahul Gandhi, Congress and the larger opposition has been talking about a caste census. This was one of their biggest pitches before these state elections. It remains to be seen if they'll continue this before 2024. Along with that is the message which raised a lot of eyebrows of Jitni Abadi Utna Haq, which many pointed out could turn India into a majoritarian system. So the big question we asked today is this: there is no denying the statistics speak for themselves that the BJP is winning multiple repeat mandates. The Prime Minister himself is the first from the BJP to win 2 terms. Is this because of the Modi guarantee that is trumping everything else?
आज हर वंचित के मन में भावना है कि चुनाव वह खुद जीता है। चुनावों में नारी शक्ति ये ठान कर निकली है कि भाजपा का परचम लहराएगी। कुछ लोग तो कह रहे हैं कि आज की इस हैट्रिक ने 24 की हैट्रिक की गारंटी दे दी है।
जो दलित हैं, आदिवासी हैं, उनकी जितनी आबादी है उतना रिजर्वेशन उनको दीजिए।
motto?
Let's go across to our guests joining us. Tom Varakan of the BJP, Sujata Paul of the Congress Party joining us. Amitabh Tiwari is a political analyst and Rashid Kidwai, senior journalist, someone who tracks the Congress Party very closely, is also joining us. I begin by thanking you all for your time. Sujata Paul, let me begin with you. It is a matter of concern for the Congress Party that its governments are not winning repeat mandates. I think since 2011 that hasn't happened. And of course, you've seen what's happened at the central level as well. Even in Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh, where you seem to be having your noses ahead, the BJP has managed to arrest power once again, while in Madhya Pradesh, you couldn't quite boot them out of the seat. Is this not a matter of concern for the Congress Party? The anti-incumbency versus your governments in just one term, while BJP governments winning repeat mandates.
The fact is that this time, in the three states that we have lost, we have to look within where we have gone wrong. Because if you look at the numbers do not indicate that we have lost per se. Because if you look at the numbers, there was a difference between BJP and Congress of about 0.5% in Rajasthan, and this time it is 2.5%. So somewhere we went wrong, and we have to figure what went wrong, because it was not the schemes, because whatever schemes we had, the Prime Minister kept saying that we are not going to close down these schemes. They were trying to better those schemes. So definitely we will be working that out. But it has, what does 2024 have to do with how elections are won or lost in the states? The fact is that the last time round in Madhya Pradesh, the government was brought down. And we must not forget that in most of the places, BJP, wherever we could have formed the government, if you remember Manipur, Goa, they ensured that they weren't.
So those are fair enough. I'll give you those three examples. The one in Madhya Pradesh where you won the mandate in 2018, but your party members broke that mandate and went to the BJP. Manipur and Goa, where you were the single largest party, or the BJP wasn't the single largest party, but they managed to, bring up a coalition faster than you, and you were caught napping. But if I leave those examples aside, let me also bring in BJP's Tom Varakan. You look at Uttar Pradesh, first time that a sitting chief minister won a mandate again after a full 5-year term, Yogi Adityanath. Uttarakhand, the first time a government was repeated. You've got Madhya Pradesh from 2003 to 2018, the BJP was in power, that's already multiple terms, and now you could argue that they were in government for 3 years, they've won a repeat mandate because anti-incumbency is against the last government. Gujarat, they have already won 7 repeat mandates, could win the 8th one. Chhattisgarh, they won 3 mandates back to back and now have come back to power. Assam, repeat mandates. Tripura, repeat mandates. Manipur, they first formed a coalition government, as you pointed out, but they have won a mandate now in 2022. So they were voted back to power outright. And Goa, you mentioned rightly, 3 terms, first on its own, then a coalition, then again on its own. So there is something here which is working for the BJP, which is pro-incumbency versus an anti-incumbency. Tom Varakan first.
Well, this is all in public domain. You have already set it on record what has happened. Now, the reality is they don't get out of their daydream. The reality is the grassroots. They suddenly decided on using the agenda of the caste census. What happened to that? It failed because there was a counter from our Prime Minister which said, women, youth, farmers and poor, that's the caste. Now this is the kind of challenges they are facing. We have our Prime Minister who gives them the run for their money. There's no thinking, people around there. There is some compilation of some facts. They try to copy the cut and paste method of Aam Aadmi Party, the guarantees that they did, and they tried to paste it on Karnataka. They just succeeded. But what happened in Madhya Pradesh? What happened in Chhattisgarh? What happened in other states? Now, my question to you is, guarantees have to be supported by institutional support. That means the funds need to be allocated. You can't be like Karnataka, where you say that I'm going to meet these guarantees, but I have no funds for development. this is the statement of DK Shiv Kumar.
Okay,
So the point here.
Let me quickly take that back to Sujata Paul. Sujata Paul, you said our schemes weren't bad, but how do you judge that? If you're not getting elected or re-elected on the basis of your schemes, then you have to wonder whether those schemes worked. Plus, there is an added element that is coming out, that schemes or welfareism or guarantees alone do not get you re-elected. Your government is needs to be seen to be strong. Law and order, for example, in Rajasthan was a big issue. You cannot just win on welfareism alone.
That is exactly what I was trying to say, that it is not only on the schemes that elections were lost. That is exactly what I'm saying. Because
yes, so where else did you go wrong?
Yeah, coming to it. So obviously there was something wrong over there, but as far as law and order is concerned, you look at what has happened in Rajasthan. The assembly has been dissolved, and look at what Mr. Varakkan is talking about. There's no thinking. He thinks there's thinking. There's only thinking with one person in their party. Here there are many
that's not what we're discussing.
Look,
whatever the issue is. No, Sujata Paul, you're skirting around the issue. The issue is you're not winning repeat mandates. The BJP governments are.
Hang on. You know, for us, every election is important, and we have to obviously, when we are going into 2024, we have to think where we went wrong even in these elections.
Yes.
But the fact is that the number of votes that we got and the women voters that the Prime Minister is talking about, he is giving completely wrong data. And I am talking about the study after the elections on the votes cast by Lok Niti CSDS. That shows very clearly that more women voters have moved towards the Congress party rather than the BJP. Please go through it. This is data that we are talking about. And in the South,
okay, the Prime Minister has not quoted any women's data. That comment about women he's made, once again, he's made in the context of the fact that as far as the caste narrative is concerned, while your party is saying jitni abadi utna hak, he is actually talking about the 4 sections or groups of people in our society who need to be supported the most. This is almost exactly what can I just say before I go across to our political experts as well, Rashid Kitwai, this is almost exactly the problem that was there in the messaging of the Congress party. For example, Manmohan Singh, you could argue he said it or didn't say it or meant it or didn't meant it. The narrative was that the Prime Minister at that time said the first right to India's resources is by minorities or Muslims. You know, that narrative versus the Jitni Abadi Utna Hak narrative now versus what the BJP is saying that, listen, work for the poor and the underprivileged first, rest doesn't matter. Do you think this narrative hurts the Congress party?
Absolutely. I think, Shivani, you are spot on. This is hurting the, Congress immensely because I see in politics, voting pattern is a sum and substance of a combination of factors. So there is Bharosa, Prime Minister's personality, then there is, of course, issue of nationalism, cultural nationalism, and delivery mechanism, etc., and welfareism. The Congress has not been able to match all of this. And more importantly, Shivani, the Congress campaign lacks, courage of conviction. I have said this. See, earlier also when there was the Chaukidar Chor Hai campaign in 2019 or this time about, Pichhada Mange 100 mein 60, the Congress was not in, Congress party, I'm saying the, regional leaders, their party people, their potential allies were not on same page. So but Mr. Gandhi kept talking about it and it didn't work. I mean, I'm just, giving, for instance, if you look at history, Emperor Akbar introduced Deen-e-Ilahi, which was supposed to be a very, combination of all the religions. It did not click. Even Jodhabai and Mullah Do Pyase did not believe in it. So Congress is constantly looking for a Deen-e-Ilahi kind of thing, a winner, a winning mascot. It's not happening. That is the Congress problem.
Okay,
Congress
interesting what you said. Amitabh Tiwari, I want to understand from you. First of all, what do you make of these numbers in India's electoral history? The numbers that the Prime Minister has shined the light on, that they have won 22 out of the 39 times they were going for a election as an incumbent versus only 7 times out of 40 by the Congress party.
See, this clearly shows that the BJP and the regional parties have a better strike rate when they contest elections as incumbent governments. See, there is only one mantra of success for any incumbent government, and that is delivery. No state government or a central government can come back to power if it has not delivered on its promises. That's number one. Number two, in Modi era, I mean, he talked about the entire picture. In Modi era, 11 out of 18 states where BJP has been in power has been won, which means a strike rate of more than 60%, which is more than the strike rate which the Prime Minister was talking about. So see, the guarantee versus guarantee battle, as you have mentioned, ultimately falls into the league of credibility. Whose guarantee is more credible, who has a better track record, and who has delivered. It's just not one angle. Schemes is one angle. Of course, then there is leadership. I mean, I was looking at data. In Rajasthan, 17% of voters who have voted for BJP is because of Prime Minister Modi. That number is 14% in Telangana, 11% in Chhattisgarh, 7% in MP. So these numbers are huge numbers. The organizational machinery of the Congress party has literally been wiped out in the Hindi heartland states. Now, this one last thing, this vote share thing. Does anybody remember what was the vote share gap in 2018? BJP was leading in vote share in MP, so that by that logic, they should have formed the government.
Even in Himachal, the vote share was what? A difference of less than 1%. In
Even in
Karnataka, the
Rajasthan-
BJP can argue they didn't lose their vote share.
Correct. Even in Rajasthan, BJP lost by just 0.5% vote share. See, it's a race. They have maintained their vote share, but the challenger has moved ahead in the race and has gained vote share, and that is why we are seeing this result. It is ultimately a choice between two parties or a race between two parties. You've stayed where you were, but the other party has raced ahead. So there will be a sweep like it happened in MP.
Right. So, Sujata Paul, while you may be right that it's very risky to kind of suggest that what happens in, let's say, the December cycle of a state election and what happens 6 months later in a national election cannot be predicted. 2003, 2004 didn't go the same way. 2018 and 19 also didn't go the same way. The problem for the Congress party seems to be that the credibility at the national level is just not with any of the opposition leaders, including the Congress party, even as part of this bloc. So the difficulty is in defeating an incumbent like Narendra Modi, because the BJP believes his guarantee works versus whatever guarantees the moon that the Congress may offer.
Again, I would say what the speaker before me was talking about, that the schemes obviously worked in the case of the incumbent governments. No, it's also the misuse of machinery, which the BJP election machinery is absolutely perfect in. You cannot deny that. They know how to misuse machinery. You know how the ED is unleashed during election time in the election going states. Now, as far as maintaining vote share is concerned, we've also maintained vote share, right? So, coming to the elections which are to take place, we must remember that we've seen that even though there have been minor players like Aam Aadmi Party or Akhilesh Yadav's party or other minor players, we have seen that the elections in the assembly elections this time have turned almost bipolar without having these single one-to-one candidates. So this is where we are moving towards, and there is no problem at all. Of course, the narrative is going to be built by the BJP that things are not right with the India alliance, and that this is politics.
I'm not even touching that. I didn't even mention that. No, one second. Sujata Paul, I am a little amused by what you said. You're saying there is no problem at all. No problem at all for the Congress party.
Absolutely, and you will see that. Where is no problem for the Congress party means, I am talking about, I have already said initially that we've got to look within, and we probably have made mistakes. If you look at Madhya Pradesh, probably if we had the alliance and we had all our leaders, alliance leaders canvassing, maybe things would have been even better for us, even if we hadn't won. So what I'm trying to say is that in the Lok Sabha elections, when we have the alliance candidate pitted against the BJP, things are going to be very, very different. Women voters are looking towards the Congress party. The data is showing that. So whatever.
Yeah, but you yourself mentioned that states doesn't matter what happens at the national level. At the national level, do you believe women are not going to vote greatly for Narendra Modi, something that we've seen in past elections?
No, I'll tell you why. Because see, the Agnipath scheme is not resonating well with the youth. The women voters are seeing their children suffer. They are reeling under price rise. And of course, now the promises have been made for Rajasthan. These are not going to help, because if you get a cylinder for 450 rupees in Rajasthan and you and I don't get it sitting in Delhi or me sitting in Dehradun, obviously these are going to be issues for every.
No, fair enough. Please, all of these issues will be raised for for example, there was a huge difference in the rates of petrol and diesel in opposition ruled states versus BJP ruled states. Maybe that impacted you in Rajasthan too. Rajasthan was one of those states.
Agree.
So,
I agree.
we could talk about a lot of these factors, but I'm looking at the larger issues which the Prime Minister has touched upon. Yes, Tom Vadakan wanted to come in. Is Modi ki guarantee, Mr. Vadakan, enough? Would there be no performances judged minutely?
Modi ji's guarantee is performance. Guarantee is a wrong word. It's the integrity of the man that is reflected. We don't need guarantee certificates. We are people who act and not just talk on television. Now she talks about a great alliance. What alliance? They did not give seats to their partners and they didn't come for the first meeting at all. And they said now they're going to join hands to fight because after all, they've been beaten blue in this election. And now they want to join hands with Samajwadi, and there's Rahul Gandhi telephoning Mamta ji. Mamta ji answered the phone or didn't, I don't know. So, I'm not going that far. I'm only saying you need to deliver, Sujata Paul. You come on television and don't deliver, make speeches, give statistics which suits you. This is standard operating practice. After defeat, Congress comes out with the statistics to say, look, this is what has happened and we have a larger vote share. Standard operate. If you go into the archives, Sujata, you'll find that all the time when you get defeated, you come with this statistics about vote share increase. This is Jairam's department. Let him handle it. But you don't look nice on television coming and saying what Jairam Ramesh
You don't have to
repeats.
tell me what I have to do, right?
No,
And
I don't have to tell you. But
Tom,
you
you
do
just
exactly.
said that guarantee is the wrong word. You just got your job back and you've been appearing on television again. Be careful what you say. Guarantee is the wrong word. Modi is saying guarantee is the word to use. And you have to use Modi's guarantee, not Modi's guarantee. So please watch what you're saying and don't be obsessed with Rahul Gandhi.
It is something that we deliver, Sujata.
You were
I think sitting in
probably
you have
beaten
no
blue,
clue
and
what
that
is
is why
happening
you went
in
and
Delhi.
joined the BJP.
You get a
The
script.
fact
You
is
get a script
that
from Delhi.
people like
Jairam
Swing
Ramesh gives you a script, and you
know
keep
that
screaming.
One second,
You are
one second.
known for screaming.
Can I just
You are
come in?
known
I'm
for
not
your
sure. One
screaming.
second, can I just
Don't
come in?
get
I'm not
personal.
sure,
Get
Sujata Paul,
personal
how
with me.
attacking
I know how to
the
get
other
personal with you.
representative personally is helping your statements. That's not an
No,
argument to make.
No, if he gets personal, I can get personal too.
Both of
What
you,
I'm
please
saying
don't
is-
get personal. I request
Yeah,
you. Let
so
me
he
go
should
across to
also-
Amitabh Tiwari as well.
He
So,
should
Amitabh
also not
Tiwari, you
get
were
personal.
talking about leadership, right? That seems to be the fundamental difference between the BJP-led NDA, Narendra Modi-led NDA and BJP versus the opposition bloc right now. But when we talk of leadership, what do the numbers or the public sentiment suggest? What is it about Narendra Modi's leadership, about his quote-unquote guarantee that is working on the ground?
I think if you talk about Narendra Modi's leadership, the highest number of people like him because of his oratory skills. That is 26%. So clearly the opposition lacks a leader who can take him on in the Hindi heartland and speak eloquently and convey their message to the people. That's number one. Number two, of course, his policies and programs and amount of time he spends in office is also liked by many people. On leadership aspect, one thing is also there for the Congress party is that Rahul Gandhi is popular in Telangana. So the gap between Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi, which was 30-40% in these Hindi heartland states, only 5% in Telangana. So that's a positive point from that aspect. That's number one. Number two, women voters have actually voted for the BJP. Without that, BJP would not have won. So the gap or the lead of the women voters for BJP is 10% in MP. It is some 2-3% in Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan data I don't have. Just last point on the caste angle. See, you talked about the jitni abadi utna hak. There is a cabinet which has been installed in Telangana. Is there any minority community minister? Minorities have voted in large numbers for the Congress party in rural areas in Telangana. So when you do not walk the talk,
That's
the
a
people
problem.
there will be a problem.
No, I want to take this forward with Rashid Kidwai because Amitabh Tiwari has touched into what I've been sensing as well. You know, there's so much campaign that the Congress party does about minorities in India. And let's face it, minorities, when you use the term minorities, it effectively means Muslims in India. It has been reduced to just meaning one community and not all minorities, who are sometimes even lower in percentages than Muslims in India. But you look at Congress leadership, you look at Congress governments, do you see enough representation that Congress itself is harping on these days, jitni abadi utna haq? You look at their governments, you look at their structure, their organizational structure of the party. Where is that representation? Why should public believe them?
Yeah, so that representation is not there at all, that I must say, Shivani, but that's there in most cases. You look at all political parties who voted for women reservation bill in parliament and look what they did in 5 states. They just gave 10-11% representation. So this is a problem of, this thing, because political parties want to win.
No, but
and in that
Rashid,
sense,
sorry I'm interrupting you. It's not just about giving tickets. In your governments, how many are represented? Not just women,
Absolutely.
but OBCs, Dalits, Muslims. How many of them in Congress governments? They had governments in Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. Was that the model they followed?
not at all. Not at all, Shivani. That is what I'm saying, and that is why they're losing. But I would say, Shivani, with the caveat that this is what other political parties also do, and they also do it. So this is like a feature of this, that minorities, women, several other kind of groups of people, they go underrepresented in that sense. But the broader point, Shivani, is that Congress's story is not finished. It is just that they do not experiment. As they say, fortune favors the brave. You look at Telangana's story. The Telangana Congress was nowhere in picture. They got a person who was a fighter, who had a lot of aggression. Shivani, I don't know who the BJP will pick as chief ministers of Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, but we believe that it will not be the same, old set of people. If that happens, the Congress missed an opportunity in 2018 when they could have got a Sidhya, a pilot and all, and today the Congress would have been
and in
much
Rajasthan.
better. So, in Rajasthan also, if they had got a pilot a year ago, perhaps things would have been different, but the Congress is not experimenting. Look at this, look at Shivani, the irony of it, that, look at Shashi Tharoor, he's there in Congress. Where is he he's there in Lok Sabha. What is his role?
Okay.
I mean, he's a country
can I just accept so Rajesh Kidwai, while a lot of people have made this point that you're making, and I concede that at one level it sounds right, but I think it's a bit like nothing succeeds like success. Sometimes they have made changes, for example, Punjab, and it just backfired for them. So I don't think age, personally, I feel age is not the issue here, or the old guard versus the new guard or new faces is not the issue here. You just have to look like you are in control. That's the bottom line.
So precisely. So Shivani, that's where I think when the BJP has got into this, cultural nationalism, it didn't click. It didn't click for decades. But it started clicking. So you need to have courage of conviction. Okay. You need to have research. You need to have, a talking points. You need to have.
Yeah, and are those talking points working? So the talking point one is caste census. Is this working? Sujata Paul, I have final minutes. I'll give 30 seconds to all of our guests. Yes. Are your talking points working? You keep talking about economy. One could argue till the cows come home. There are good numbers, bad numbers. Inflation has been talked about, but actually inflation is the best that we've had in many decades, certainly the UPA decade. So I'm not sure if the issues you're picking up, and some Congress leaders themselves are saying, or Congress supporters are saying, that the issues you're picking up are not the ones you're convincing the voters on.
When we talk about inflation, it just sounds like, oh, the data shows this much percentage rise or this much percentage fall. But the fact is that if something has risen from 100 rupees to 110 rupees, it's a rise of what? 10%.
But that 10% is not the inflation numbers.
Hang on. Let me.
So that rise hasn't happened.
But listen, if supposing from 110, it rises to another 20%, what percentage is it? So you've got to do the calculation.
Ma'am, the numbers have to be correct. The inflation numbers that we are discussing today for the last 6 months, for the last 1 year, are the best the country has seen in a long time.
No, it is not.
That's precisely my point. You're talking about some notional 20% rise. That rise hasn't happened.
It's not. Listen, if that was the case, then the Prime Minister wouldn't say that I'm going to give you the gas cylinder for 450 rupees. Please, he wouldn't say that.
So that's for cylinder, right? That's not for everything else.
No, for everything. For everything.
What is the inflation number today?
Are finding it
what is the inflation numbers today?
Again, that's what, if you want to do a discussion on it, please give me time and I'll explain it.
No, there's no explanation required. The number is the number.
There is a percentage that you're talking about.
Yes.
25% of 100 will make it 125. But 25% of 200 will only be 12.5%. So please don't go through that
But ma'am, the inflation numbers are not 25%.
No, I'm giving you an example. So if you want to discuss the data, I will discuss it with you another day.
Anyways.
But caste census is what you were talking about, and let me tell you that we've been saying that we are a welfare state. This country is a welfare state, and that is why for us, the person who is the poorest of the poor is the most important. The Prime Minister himself talks about him being an OBC and a poor man, but now suddenly, because the narrative got changed because of the caste census and jitni abadi utna haq, that is why he's now talking about the women folk, the youth, the farmers and so on. What has he done for the farmers?
Okay,
We've all seen that.
You're not understanding the question I asked you. It's not about whether... The question was whether what you're picking up is clicking with the voters. You've got to be responsive to and nimble on what is the response from the public is what I was asking you. But I've run out of time. I do thank all of our guests for joining us.